Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, whenever you're watching this. It is the DOUG here, time for my brackets. That is right. The NCAA March Tournament Round 1 starts tomorrow and Wednesday, depending on where you're at. Now, of course, I've already done not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4, count them, 4 brackets, baby. And I'm going to do the 5th one right now, live. But before I go, let me just tell you about the other 4 I have. My first bracket, I have Notre Dame over VCU. This one is kind of my A, because I like Notre Dame, as you can see, and B, it probably won't fucking happen, but at least got to be nice to Notre Dame. As far as VCU, I think they're a threat. Again, you know, I think could they make it to the, yeah, they can. I just don't know. I'm a little bit worried when they play, if they can get past Michigan. That's going to be one of the big games for them. They've shown they can beat Kansas in the past, and Georgetown, which I don't have faith in Georgetown, which I will explain when I get to my next, when I get to the 5th bracket. I'm going to do live here with you all. Now, as far as for the next one, I have Louisville. I think that's an obvious choice. I have them beating Miami. My final form, that second bracket, is Louisville, New Mexico, Miami, and Kansas. My third bracket, which is again I consider this to be the upset favorite, New Mexico over VCU. I think now in this final form, particularly in that one, I have St. Louis actually and Indiana. I think St. Louis will be a threat to Louisville. Duke, I don't have too much faith in Duke right now. So yeah, I don't have faith in Duke. By the way, I know someone's going to go, oh, Doug, you didn't tell us who your final 4 were on the first bracket with Notre Dame. Well, just to clarify, once ESPN loads up. So while it's doing that, let me get to my 4th bracket. I have Gonzales over Miami. The final four on that one, joining them, is Louisville and Florida. And as far as for the Notre Dame one, I have Louisville and Miami. Now let's get to the 5th bracket, the one I'm doing here right now. I have NCAA beating Liberty, but I have them losing to Louisville. I then have Colorado State. By the way, we're going to start with the Midwest. I have Oklahoma State over Oregon, St. Louis over New Mexico State, Memphis over the winner of MTSU and SMC. I got SMC winning that. Michigan State, Creighton, and Duke. So really no upsets there. I then have Duke advancing and Memphis. I have Memphis beating Michigan State, St. Louis beating Oklahoma State, and Louisville beating Colorado State. And then, unfortunately, I say St. Louis's Cinderella thing comes to an end and Louisville gets that win. I then have Memphis pulling the surprise upset in the Midwest again, beating Duke. I do not have faith in Duke this year. And then, of course, finishing off the Midwest, I have Louisville advancing. Now let's go to the South. Now, before I go to the South, though, I think Louisville is a safe bet to advance in the Midwest. I think they got an easy road. I think the only teams, to me, they got to worry about is Colorado State and St. Louis and Oklahoma State. I don't really think Oregon, New Mexico State are a team to be worried about, you know, unless you're going for the upsets. And as far as for the bottom half of the Midwest, you know, Duke did not look impressive to me in that loss against Maryland in the ACC. I know I don't even think Duke should have been a number 2 in my humble opinion. I think they should have been a 3 or 4. Again, that's my opinion. But they got an easy road, so I think they would either play Michigan State or Memphis. So, you know, and I even think Memphis is a better team than Duke right now. I just don't have faith in Duke of what I've seen. But again, hey, that's my opinion. I'm sure others differ from that. Now, as far as for the South, I think it's Kansas, obviously, over Western Kentucky. Tar Heels, which I don't even think they should even been in the tournament, to be honest. The only reason they got in was because they did good in the ACC tournament. Other than that, I don't think they should have been in. But I'll take in the pick Villanova. VCU over whoever VCU to advance. Michigan over SD State. UCLA to beat Minnesota. Florida to advance over Northwestern State. Oklahoma to beat San Diego State. That is my upset, at least in that part of the bracket. And Georgetown. I then have Oklahoma. Yes, Oklahoma beating Georgetown. That may surprise people, but I'm not sold on this Georgetown team as much as I would normally in years past. I don't think they have enough good wins in my book. Again, this is my opinion. That would make me say, hey, they can beat a team like Florida or UCLA or even Oklahoma or San Diego State. Again, this is me just predicting one upset. I think there will be an upset in each of the 4 regions. Florida will easily get past UCLA. I'm going to say VCU beats Michigan. I think that's another one that's going to surprise people. I think VCU is a threat. I mean, they're a 5th seed in the South. That's not bad. I think a lot of people are starting to realize these VCU Rams are a team to deal with. You always know they're going to bring their A game. You never know what you're going to get with them. And that's a good thing. I say VCU over Michigan. And then to finish off the South round of round 32, I have Kansas over Tar Heels. I'm not sold on this Tar Heel team at all. Now, when we get to the Sweet 16, VCU and Kansas, this is where I have a problem. The last time these two met, VCU beat them. Okay? Remember, it wasn't that long ago. VCU was a Final Four. And Kansas, though, is better than what they were a few years ago when that happened. And as much as I hate saying it, I got to take Kansas in this one. I think Kansas is just definitely the better team. VCU, hey, you made it to the Sweet 16. That's something, if that does happen, that's something to tip your hat on. And then I have Florida beating Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's going to stop their winning ways there as well. Then I have Florida over Kansas. I think Florida's just a better team all the way around. And I think, Kansas is number 1. I think Florida's going to be the team to beat in that region. Again, my opinion. Now let's go to the West. I have Gonzales over Southern U. I think that's an easy pick for everybody. Pittsburgh to advance over Wichita State. Ole Miss to beat Wisconsin. I think this is an interesting matchup. I think a lot of people are going to go with Wisconsin, but I think Ole Miss, to me, has that underdog thing, and I think they're probably the best underdog team in the West. And then I have Kansas State over the winner of BSU versus LaSalle. I'm going to take LaSalle just because I like their name. Now, this is another upset. I have Belmont over Arizona. The Belmont Bears, I believe they are called. Though the Bruins are, Belmont, I think they're the favorite. I do not like Arizona's chances. I think a lot of people will be taking Arizona, but I don't trust them. So I'm going to take the number 11 seed in that. Then I have New Mexico over Harvard, Notre Dame, which is obvious, over Iowa State, and Ohio State over Iowa. Yeah. Then going back up to the top, I have Gonzales over Pittsburgh, Kansas State over Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss will get lucky with Wisconsin, but I don't think they can beat Kansas State. New Mexico will advance over Belmont. And as much as I hate saying it, I got Ohio State beating Notre Dame. I have to be realistic on that bracket. The first one, like I said, I have Notre Dame winning, but that is me being myself, being a fan of my team. I think anybody would agree on that, but I have to be realistic. I do not think Notre Dame can get past an Ohio State. Now, for whatever fucking reason, Ohio State blows it, then yeah, I'm going to be saying Notre Dame can beat Iowa. But if that don't happen, Ohio State's the safe bet. Then I have, as a shocker, this would probably be my main one I'm doing, by the way. I have Gonzales losing to Kansas State. Now, I'll give Gonzales this. They are number 1 seed. I'll give them that. But I just don't know if they can beat a good team like a Kansas State. And even if they do, can they beat an Ohio State or New Mexico? I don't think they can. And with that being said, I have New Mexico over Ohio State. I think New Mexico is a team to deal with. Definitely watch out for them. And then to finish it off, I flipped back and forth on this, but I'm going to say New Mexico will beat Kansas State in a close game. So far, I have in the Midwest, Louisville winning it, the South region, Florida, and in the West, I have New Mexico. So let's go to the East and finish that. Of course, I have Indiana against whoever the 16th seed is, which I think will be JMU, James Madison University. Then I got Temple over the Wolfpack, California over UNLV. Now, my problem with this, that's a home game for California. that puts them at a great advantage. You know, I think a lot of people are going to take UNLV, but I just feel because California, that's a home game for them, I think that's an advantage. So I think I'm going to take California on this one. And then I have Syracuse over, oh God, the Bears of Montana, I think they're called, you know, whatever. Butler over Bucknell, Marquette over Davidson, Illinois over Colorado, and Miami over Pacific. Then Miami to advance. Butler to pull up the upset. Those Butler Bulldogs are always a good team in my opinion. California to continue the ride that they'll have, and then Indiana over Temple. Unfortunately for California, I think that's where they stop, and I'm taking Indiana on that point. I think California is going to have maybe have that momentum after beating UNLV, but I think and beating Syracuse. But I'm sorry, I saw how Syracuse has played. I have no idea how they're a number 4 seed in the East, in my opinion. I think California is going to be one of those weird teams that can shock people, but I don't think they can get past Indiana. There's no way in hell that's going to happen. And then Miami over Butler. I think Butler Bulldogs will put up a good fight by Miami Hurricanes. They're just, how they didn't get a number 1 seed, I am surprised. And with that being said, I have Miami over Indiana. I don't trust Indiana if that happens, if they play Miami. I think the East is a guaranteed 1 and 2 match. Guaranteed. And I think if that does happen, I think Miami's the better team. Now let's get to what is left. We got Louisville, Florida, New Mexico, and Miami. Let's start with the battle of the state. Florida versus Miami. This should be a very good matchup. Very good heated rivalry. I expect the fans to be into this. But I am taking Miami to win this one in a close game. I think it's going to be a very close one. Closer than I think a lot of people would predict if it happens. Now as far as for the other one, New Mexico versus Louisville. I think Louisville's going to win that one. I mean, I tip my hat to New Mexico. You already know I predicted them in one of my brackets, and I think they're going to be a very good team to pick if you want to pick them to win it all, which would be a great idea if you're doing more than one bracket. But if you're only doing one bracket, I do not think that would be the best idea. Now, with that being said, my finals for this one is Louisville versus Miami, and I'm going to take Miami on that because I just feel Miami should have been a number 1 seed. I really, to be honest, I feel like they should have been one. You know, you could have had a lot of teams be number 1, but I think they are the best team, at least in this bracket. Now, of course, there are some other upsets. Like I said, look out for St. Louis. They could definitely be a shocker this year. Michigan State, you know, I don't have them advancing. They're going to be an interesting team. Memphis, VCU, Oklahoma, I think a lot of people are not giving them credit. And in general, I'm going to say this. You know, as you saw, I did not give a lot of respect to the Pac-12. The Pac-12 to me did not get a lot of respect, and maybe that's why I'm not picking them in a lot of the things. But B1, Pac-12, Oklahoma, Oregon and California are very, very two good teams on the Pac-12. So do not look past them. Okay, I'm going to say it. You know, I do have Oklahoma State beating Oregon. I firmly believe that's going to be a very close game. But, like I said, I'm taking Miami in this one. I think they're just the better team overall to me. And those are my brackets for this year's March Madness, guys. Let me know what you think about my brackets. Do you disagree or do you agree? And who do you have winning winning the big old title this year? So until I see you for my next videos, this is the DOUG signing off saying good night and have a great week. And enjoy the March Madness, baby. Woo!